hello, welcome to my channel again. Today I'm going to teach you how to create a background die. It's one of the techniques that I use the most on my cards because, as you can see here, you can use it in many different ways. In this case here, I actually used the little tiny pieces and I used some foam tape so that you can see that it's elevated a little bit. It gives a very nice effect. Or you can just use the die like this. You just glue it directly on the paper. There's no dimension there. Same thing here. I did the very same thing. Or you can just use the little tiny pieces like this. And I'm going to teach you at the end of this video how on earth, you may be looking at is how did she get all these little tiny pieces there? One by one, not a chance, no. And I'm going to teach you how to get all of these at once and very, very easily remove it from the die and just place it wherever you want. So stay tuned to the end of the video because I'm going to teach you two techniques. The one on the left to give dimension and the one on the right to just glue it directly on the paper with no dimension, but still you don't throw away those little tiny pieces. This one is my favorite, guys. I really love this card. And I just love the dimension here. I'm going to teach you two ways of doing that. So get your Canvas workspace opened and let's get to it. I'm going to teach you all of this today. So here I am on Brother CanvasWorkspace. If you haven't downloaded this software, I really urge you to do so. This is what I use to do all my creation and all my planning, and that's where I create everything and then send to ScanNCut. But just so you know, this is the die, the background die that we're going to build today. I know it looks very complicated, but it isn't. It's quite simple actually. I will teach you step by step how to create this, but what you're going to learn can be used to create any kind of background die. All you need to decide is which kind of die you want and of course which object you're going to need. So here for this one, first thing you do is I always build a card base. So this one is going to be just a regular A2, which is 4 1/4. Unclick here, otherwise you can change the sizes, by 5 1/2. That's the regular card base that I use, and that's what I need for today. So with that done, the first thing I do is I'm just going to put this aside here so it doesn't get in the way. I'm actually going to, I'm just going to hide it here. Okay. And I'm going to place this in the middle so you see it well. And we are going to zoom in so you see even better. So this is the card base. The next thing you need to decide to do is which image do you want. It depends on what kind of die you want. You can use this one. You can actually use any kind of image. It depends on what you want. But for that one, I just scrolled. I click here on shapes, kept going down, and here it is. Of course, it's gigantic. You don't want that. And that's why you need the card base, because then you need to know how many you need and which size you want. You can make it as big or small as you want. Now, what I'm going to do, and this is very important for you to learn, because you're going to use this a lot from now on. I don't want to mess around with this background here, with this card base. So what I do is I'm going to lock this object. What does that mean? It means that I can play around with everything and this is going to remain the same. And how do you do that? You go over here on Edit, right down there is something called Layers. This is going to show everything that it has a lot of stuff because it had already the die made, but I'm just going to click on Group and you see the two shapes. See, it's selecting the shapes as I click here. I want to lock this one just to make sure that I'm not going to screw up anything. And whatever changes I make on this one, and I'm going to be playing around inside, it doesn't affect this one because I want this to remain the same. So what you go and you see this little eye here, what you're going to do is you're going to click in this little place here, and you're going to see a lock. That means that if I want to select it, see, it doesn't select, which is a good thing. That's what I want. But here's the image that I use. It's of course huge, but what you do is you just make it smaller and you try to decide more or less the size that you want. It looks like this size is good enough. So you have one place there. What we're going to do from now on is copy and paste. So Command-C, Command-V, or Control-C, Control-V if it's a PC. So we're going to just select, maybe, I don't know how many are going to fit. So what I do is I'm going to just select all the images, go back here to edit. We want to align the objects in the middle like this, so you already know that they're aligned. I don't know if this is enough or even if I need to erase some. What I do next is I'm going to distribute. See here, distribute space. You can do this, the distribution horizontally or vertically. I'm going to do horizontally. But here, this is the spacing here. 1 inch is too much. I know that's not how much I want. I'm going to guess point, I don't know, 15. I'm going to guess. I'm not sure if that's what it is, but I'm going to do that and I'm going to click. See, it's a good space that it gave, but maybe I just have too many. See? It looks good actually, so what I know is that maybe I need less than that to fill all that space. So now what I'm going to do, just to move it around without changing the alignment, I'm going to group all these objects and just turn it into one. I'm going to ungroup later on, but just so I can move it safely. So you do Command-G or Control-G, and if it's a PC, and you move it around. See how it filled the whole area? I don't want the whole area filled like that. I want a little bit less. So what I would do would be just move it, squeeze it a little bit. I think it looks good now. Now what I'm going to do is I want to make sure that this is aligned, but for that to happen, I have to click on this big image here, the mat. And it's locked. Remember, we locked it. We're going to unlock it so we can move it around. Here it is. Here is there you go. Now I want to make sure that it's aligned again. So I click on edit, I come here and I make sure that it's centered. Now it is. It looks good to me. It looks actually perfect. The next thing I'm going to do now, again, I'm going back to layers and again, I'm going to lock this shape here. I do not want it to be messed with. What we need now is to, again, copy and paste. Now that we have the first line, okay, we're going to just copy and paste and multiply this by as many as we need to fill the whole space. But there is a trick here. I'm going to first, to show you this trick, I'm going to ungroup because I'm going to need to erase one of these and you will know why. First, I'm going to copy and paste to make sure. I always like to have one extra here. I'm going to have another one just in case we mess it up and we need to play around with this. So I'm just going to keep these two here. Because here's the thing, I need to do this. See? To build the die, but this is, I have one too many, so that's why I need to ungroup. So you click on it, you come here on layer, you ungroup it, just so you can erase one. There you go. That's what you need. You only need 4. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, again, group that one. So I have 2 kinds of lines here, one with 5 and one with 4. And what you're going to do is you're going to place this perfect. See how it's a little bit to the left? You don't want that, so just click and use your arrow keys. That's the best way to move objects because it goes slowly. Looks perfect to me. Let me see if this one is grouped. Yes, this one is grouped. The one below is grouped, and that's all you need because from now on, all you're going to do is just copy and paste. We're going to do this. We're going to group these two just so we can copy and paste and make sure that we don't make any mistakes. I'm going to bring one down here. We have two, see? You're just going to fill in the space again. You look at it, just make sure that the spaces are right. This one looks right. This one looks like maybe a little bit up. Nope, nope. There you go. Does it look right? It does. So we're going to, again, multiply. What I did was I clicked and I got a new one. I just copy and paste it again, moving with my arrow keys to the right. It looks good. Let's see. Yep. Let's get another one. Just duplicate it again, copy and paste, and you just keep going. This is quite easy, isn't it? Once we have the first line, all you need to do is actually a lot of copy and paste, copy and paste. That one looks good. And then there is a way also later on that we can just verify if it's right, if everything's aligned. But I don't know, I think that just by looking is good enough for me. So with your arrow keys, move it. Need a little bit more space there. Looks good. Now what we're going to do is the last step. See how there is still a space here that needs to be filled, and it would actually need to be filled by one of these cut in half here, right? That's how you do this. That's why I always need to have an extra one. What we're going to do is ungroup so I can get just one of these and make sure it's the, it's the right size. And here's how I cut it. I'm sure there are many ways on doing this, but the way I do it is I get a square. Just make it small. I don't need it that big, because what I'm going to do here is to place it right in the middle of that. Let's zoom in so you see what I'm doing here. I'm going to place that right. Use your arrow keys. Once you see, it's right in the middle. It's perfect. I'm going to cut this. Here's how you're going to do this. You're going to select both objects and you're going to click on subtract. There you are. You have what you need to fill in all these spaces. But if you look at the whole die, and I'm going to move this down, see how there is more space here than here, but we don't need to do that now. So this would be perfect for here, but I need the opposite here. Very easy. Again, copy and paste. And the second one, what you're going to do is you're going to flip it. See here, flip horizontally. So you have, just to make sure that it's the same size, so you just copy and paste, and that's the same size. How many do I need here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to copy and paste 5 times. Now all you need is to put it there. Again, once you place kind of in the right place, all you need to do is arrow keys. Yeah, and don't worry about this space here, because I'm still going to move this around. But that looks right here, right? It's aligned. Let me see. Yeah, now it looks perfect. Same thing here. And what you can do, just to make this faster, what I do here is I just move it close, but not perfect, see? Because we can align all of them. Last one. Come on. There you go. It doesn't need to be right, because what you're going to do is select all of this, hold your shift key, 3, 4, 5, and again here on align objects, I'm going to align it to the right. There you go. Everything is perfect now. At least the right alignment is perfect, and you just have to move it. So this one is good, the first one is good. All you need to do now is just move it down a little bit to be perfectly aligned, but you know that the right side is right. There you go. I know you must be thinking, oh my God, that's a lot of work. Actually, it's not, because once you learn how to do it, you're fine. I'm going to do this again, but just think of how many dies you can create with this same technique. And here, what I'm going, let me see if this works. I'm going to align these two also. Middle, see? So we know that it's perfectly aligned already. So what I'm going to do is just position one, and then I'm going to do the same thing that I did. You can align with this one too. Make sure that it's centered. There you go. Or you could have done, you know, to the left, and that's what I'm going to do afterwards. With this one, again, align. Just two more, guys. There you go. Align with this one, middle. Kind of moved a little bit, but you can just go back there and fix it. There you go. So here we are. I think this one is fine now. A little bit to the left. This one, let me see, looks good. This one, move down a little bit. Always use your arrow keys, guys. Always, because it's the easiest way, really. This one, I need to go down a little bit. See, you have to make sure that this is aligned. It is now. How about this? Last one little bit here. And let's align here to the left. It is good. There you are. I think it looks perfect. See? Now, the last step that you have to do. Remember that some of these are grouped. What I'm going to do is ungroup everything, because CanvasWorkspace, it doesn't let you, if I try to group everything now, which is what I want to do, just so you don't move around anymore, CanvasWorkspace won't let you because you have more than 3 layers here of grouped images. So what I do is I just go back here to layer, and I just go on ungrouping. Click here, another one, layer, ungroup. Let me see here, another one. Ungroup, click on layer, ungroup again, and just do this until I have most of them ungrouped. You don't have to have all of them, but I want to make sure that I won't, see, this is still grouped, so ungroup, that's grouped, ungroup. If you click here on layers, you're going to see all the groups, see, but it looks so complicated, especially for beginners. I don't want to do that. So let's just keep going. Just ungroup everything you can. Just make sure you don't move it though, because you don't want to undo all your work. There you go. Let's ungroup, because you can see that it's a little bit big. Looks good now. What I'm going to do is select everything. See, everything here is selected. You're going to layer and you're going to group it. There you go. You have one image, because you can make it a little bit smaller just to fit better within this card base. And now we go back here. Let's get all this group out of here. What I do now is I'm going to unlock this image, remember, because we can't select the card base. And what I actually use here, we're going to unlock it, because now we can select everything, these 2 images, and we can group it. But I'm not going to do it still, because I usually, what I do for cards, I don't use the die. I forgot this in the beginning. This is the size of the card. I make it a little bit smaller, and that's what I'm going to do now, because I use it as a mat. What I usually do is 4 inches by 5.25. So see how the die is a little bit too big. So here's what we need to do. There you go. What we're going to do now is we're going to align it. Again, align middle and center. And there you are. You have your die. And that's the die that I used. I'm just going to bring the other one that I had in the beginning. I think it's hiding here somewhere. See? That's the one that I had before. That's the one that we built today. We're going to group this to make sure that we don't mess up with the sizes. And there you are, guys. That's how you build your background dies. You can use any image. I actually tried, this is another one that I want to try next. I tried with this one and it makes a beautiful background die. You just, again, you're just going to, let me just multiply just so you see what it would look like. Here I'm going to space it again. See, you can do the same idea here using this image, and it makes a beautiful background die. But anyway, this is the one that you saw that I used in my cards before. I hope you have learned and you use this. And so see, look at this, the star, I mean any of these, actually even a heart, to make a die with hearts. Just use your imagination, because the technique you already have. The next thing you do here is just export it, and that's how I export to mine. You export via the internet. I use my Wi-Fi. I send it to the machine. It says that the machine is ready, and I just cut on ScanNCut. And now what I'm going to teach you are some techniques on how to glue these little tiny pieces, because once you have this cut, you look at it, so, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? Because these are little tiny pieces, and as you saw in the beginning, I use just the pieces too as a background. And I'm going to teach you now how to do that very, very easily. Thank you for watching, and let's go to my next step, which is the technique that I use, actually two different techniques on how to glue these little pieces and on how to use the dies themselves. Now for the techniques. The first one I'm going to show you is how to get all those little tiny pieces placed within the die, and I use foam tape. I know it looks like a lot of work, and it kind of is. You just cut it in half and then into little tiny pieces, and you just place it once. Of course, before that you have already glued the die, and then you just place the little tiny pieces there, and that's how you get that effect with dimension. See, I'm going to just do one here for you. It is a lot of work, kind of is, but I love the impact that it has, because it does look very nice, and it's quite easy to do. It just takes time. But I don't know what crafting is for you, but for me it's kind of therapy. So I do not mind doing these little tiny things. My sister was here looking at me do this, and she went, oh my goodness, you're really gonna place all of those pieces one by one? So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. It's not hard, it just takes time. See, all the pieces of foam tape there, and then you just peel it off and you place it one by one. It's a very nice effect and totally worth it. Now let's go on to the second technique, and the product I use here is press and seal. I'm sure most of you have that in your kitchen, and it's perfect for this technique. You can see on the left here that I have removed from the mat the die, and then all you have left are the little tiny pieces. All you have to do, see what I'm doing now, you're just going to place a piece of the press and seal with the glue, kind of gluey side down, and you're just going to press with your fingers. Make sure you press it very, very hard, just to make sure that the plastic is sticking to the little pieces. I actually go one by one sometimes, and then you start removing very slowly. What I do is I bend a little bit the mat. It kind of helps get it loosened up, and I just try to remove it slowly to see if it's coming off, and sometimes it doesn't, but when you do that, it helps. You're going to see now the process of removing. See, it's actually quite easy, and if you see that some are not glued, again, go back with your fingers and just press and press and press until you find that they're all glued to the little piece of plastic. I was bending a lot the mat, and then I decided, no, this is kind of crazy. I don't need to bend this so much. But that's what you do. You just make sure you press it as hard as you can. Sometimes it does take a while, but it's funny that at some moment it just seems to everything work at once. And you can see now that I have just one here and there. But press and seal is kind of magic for this. It doesn't help that the mat is already tacky, and that's why it takes a little bit of a little bit of time. If you use any kind of other machine for dies, you won't have this problem, but as you know, the ScanNCut mat is tacky, so they're kind of competing there for the tackiness, but that's what you do. Press it and then remove, and it's absolutely perfect, guys. Look at that. Now all you can do, if you want to transfer to paper, you just use glue or foam tape. It depends on what you want to do. You can see here, first example here, I'm just putting a little bit of glue everywhere in every little tiny piece. And then I already had my card base. I just transferred it to the card base, and you just put, that's a good thing about press and seal. Just so you know, that's the glue I use. Press and seal is perfect for this. See, I got only one that didn't really hold, but there you are, it's perfect. The second part of this technique, actually it's another option, because as I said, it depends on what you do, is again I'm going to use those little tiny pieces of foam. That's only if you want dimension. The first example, I had no dimension there. I actually just glued directly on the piece of paper. But if you want, you can just use the foam tape and just press it, and then again you're going to remove it, and it's going to be perfect. And there you go. The first one back again. I just want to show you, now that you know how to do this, you have some dimension there because I used the foam tape. There you are, you know how to do that now. You can actually do this on the plastic and then transfer directly, or just one by one as I showed before. And here are the cards that we made with this beautiful die. Now you know how to build a die. All you need to do is choose whichever image you have and build your own. Just use your imagination and have fun, because that's what crafting is all about. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.